Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hope you all had a good evening. And today, because of the national holiday, we've kept it a very easy day. Professor Abhishek. He is going to talk to you a little bit about the work and the well-being lab. Okay, and his interest areas are environmental issues. He speaks and writes extensively on indigenous tribes and the cultures that are there. He writes on water. He has worked for Center for Policy Research, and now he's also interacted with you all a couple of times. So, without wasting any other minute, Abhishek, over on to you.
Thanks, Neha. Yeah. Hi, everyone. And first of all, very happy Gandhi Jayanti to all of you. And today we'll begin our session on Introduction to Work and Wellbeing Lab. So I guess, how did you guys find Zankhana's session the other day? I'm sure most of you might have liked it. So we will be having many more such sessions under the Work and Wellbeing Lab. Today we have another on mindfulness. So what basically the Work and Wellbeing Lab is, I'm going to talk about that. Let me share my screen. So we'll be having an introduction to Work and Wellbeing Lab. And to begin with, I mean, lawyering in itself, as we all know, is a very tough job. I mean, it's a dog eats a dog world, and there's a lot of cutthroat competition, and there's hardly any time to sit back or think or even self-reflect. And in many such situations, we tend to lose ourselves. And I'm sure all of you must have experienced something like that. I mean, I don't have a law firm experience, but while working as CPR in the evenings, I used to work for a senior advocate of Supreme Court, Mr. Upamanyu Hazarika. And while working with him, I realized, I mean, all the juniors were trying to impress him. Everyone was working overtime, sometimes till 1 o'clock at night. It was a very cutthroat situation, you know. And then again, I did a bit of independent practice also. I was appearing for bail applications for anti CAA protesters and a few murder cases as well. And those days, I still recall I had sleepless nights. And it's not just me, I'm sure a lot of you must have faced such situations. And in those instances, we don't know how to cope up with these issues, you know. And initial years of struggle, a lot of other issues like low pay, overwork, and there's no me time, a lot of frustrations, uncertainties if uh, we'll succeed in our career or not. All these things are faced by almost all young lawyers in this country. Hardly anybody is talking about it. And even you know even talking about is considered a taboo. You know, there's a thing called counsels don't need counseling, right? So but there are initiatives done in different countries. American Bar Association has something called the National Task Force on Lawyer Wellbeing. Then there's a Commission on Lawyer Assistant Program. Lawyer Wellbeing Toolkit is there. And also in their law schools, there are a lot of these, support groups. There's plenty, but there's nothing such in India. Have you heard of, correct me if I'm wrong, have you heard of any such initiative by Bar Council of India? I guess none. So this is something which is important, which needs to be talked about, well-being of lawyers and mental health of lawyers. And so the idea behind Work and Wellbeing Lab basically comes from four different things. First is it is based on the Delta model of lawyering. So what is Delta model? Basically, there have been three models of lawyering: I model, T model, and Delta model. So Delta model, I model basically is the first one where you needed only to teach law students basic legal ideas, legal thoughts. Then came the T model where you needed to give them ideas on business transactions, how projects work, how business work. Like you guys are learning accounting, finance for lawyers and things like that. And beyond that, Delta model speaks of, you know, things like emotional quotient, emotional intelligence, well-being, and a lot of other things, which are equally necessary for lawyers. Communications. So based on the Delta model, I also wrote a piece on Delta model in Loctopus. I'll be sharing the link with you guys, and you can have a more in-depth idea on the Delta model of lawyering. So, work and well-being lab uh, comes in from that Delta model of lawyering, where we want overall development of a law student, and also the idea of living a good life. I mean, we have a very flawed notion of happiness in not only in this country but across the world. I mean, if I'm to ask any one of you, say, Falak kya hai? Yeah, can you hear me, Falak kya hai?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So, what according to you is happiness?
What, according to me, is happiness?
Right.
Well, over a period of time, I think, you know, while starting from big castles, it has come down to a small home in Shillong, maybe, or, or a cold place where I
Right.
have a good library and I'm
Yeah.
able to sit and, just have enough time for my books. That's it. And of
Right.
course, far away from litigation.
And do you think money can be equal to happiness?
Initially, I had this notion that money is important, and
Right.
for the first 3 years of my practice, I was actually after money. And I mean, by God's grace, my practice. I mean, I did very well at practice. I started earning at the end of 6 months itself, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I performed the best as compared to all other batchmates. But then, over a period of time, I realized that it does not really give any happiness. What is important is that you just have sufficient enough means, that you can uh, lead a good life. What is more important is family. So, it so happened I came down from Shillong to Bihar just for the purposes of making money and getting into politics, realizing only later that I should get back to Shillong and be with my family.
Absolutely, absolutely. And let me ask someone else. Mridul, hi, can you hear me? Hello?
Hi, am I
Hello?
audible?
Yeah, yeah, you are. So, Mridul, what is your dream job like? A job you want always have wanted?
Dream job. So, when I was in law school, my
Right.
dream job was in my fourth year. My dream job
Mm-hmm.
was of a litigator. Like I'm standing
Okay.
in the Supreme Court at the edge of the interpretation of some statute, and my name comes in the newspaper that Mr. X has helped India with something. But then,
Right.
so that is how I started. But now I'm more into academics. My inclination is towards academics now, so I
So,
can
so
change
let
things
us just, yeah. So let us just talk about the law school, Mridul. So, if tomorrow you become the topmost constitutional lawyer in the country, do you think you'll be really happy?
uh, for after having some litigation experience. Yeah, for some hours will be, but then
Right.
when when I will look back that what all is left to be done, I won't be very much uh, happy with that.
Right. Absolutely. So, yeah, there have been a lot of research done by a lot of top universities in the world. It says that like money, getting the best job, yeah, it does give happiness, but that's for a short while. I'll get more in deep into it in another session, maybe on the science of well-being. But yeah, these things are very limited. It's more about gratitude, kindness, your relationships with people, which all these things ensure an overall well-being. So, in fact, in our society, the idea of living a good life itself is very different. I mean, although different countries are doing new things like well-being is being considered in their economic framework. In New Zealand and Bhutan, we have gross national happiness, and things are changing. But yeah, it's a long way to go. And then the next reason why work and well-being came into is that the need to address mental health issues among Indian lawyers, which already stated that there's a lot of burnout. I have two cousins working in top law firms. I mean, sometimes they work for 23 hours in a day. I mean, uh, goes to office at 8 a.m., 9 a.m., comes back the next day at 6 a.m. There have been days like that. And someone like him, I mean, I have seen him lost himself, and these problems are there. And so these things need to be addressed, and work and well-being would be I totally believe the way we structured it, it will be a way towards addressing these issues. And then, okay, I don't have much time, but still, coming to the final structure of the work and well-being, and like the beauty of our Daksha fellowship, we this is these are the list of the components which we have, but it is very much flexible. If you guys want some additional components in it, we can add it. So basically, we will be having critical thinking, which I feel is very essential, because like, even while you're watching a television show, a news show, critical thinking helps in, because you need to understand, right? Would you want to watch which channel? Would it be Times Now or Republic TV or in India Today or whatever? You can critically think, are they really discussing the real issues which need to be discussed? and and there's lot of false information going on, WhatsApp forwards and all these things. Even there you need critical thinking. Even while buying a car, you need critical thinking. Would you want to buy a sedan or a SUV, and then figure the pros and cons of everything? So critical thinking is very essential. Then next is storytelling. For storytelling, a great person is coming. He's Eric Miller. He's one of the well-known names in the world of storytelling. uh, this month, towards the, I think, next or the week after, we'll start our storytelling classes in the evenings, and introduction to storytelling, then legal storytelling, and something called law and films, which is very common in US. But in India, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think anyone is teaching law and films. And then comes leadership. In leadership, we'll have different speakers coming in, interacting with you, different names from the legal industry, and different people. Actually, we also wanted Professor Yogendra Yadav to come in and speak, but sadly, I think he's been arrested now, so which is sad though. And then, yeah, personal finance management would be there. And personal finance management, like, in a year or two, all of you guys will be employed. You'll have a job, you'll be earning, and you need to know how to budget the money. And if you a lot of my friends are planning early retirement. So if someone wants an early retirement, how much one has to save, how to have other sources of income, or how to invest, how much do you pay EMI for a car, things like that. Personal finance management would be there. And most importantly, this the fifth component, which is self, world, and the mind. There we are putting in a lot of things, and it's very flexible. You guys can send me suggestions if you want some other components in it. But we'll have mindfulness. The alternative story is there for mindfulness. They'll be having a session soon. Then we'll have minimalism. There'll be animal therapy. So an animal therapist would be coming. Her name is Dr. Bandhanpreet Kaur. She's from Goa. Then dance movement therapy will make a request to Zankhana to have, once you guys are there at the campus, we'll make her a request. She's a well-known dance movement therapist also. She'll come to the campus. And also poetry for professionals, something like you guys, I mean, a lot of professionals, when they're frustrated, uh, they have a lot of things to say, and instead of getting angry, why don't you turn it into something creative? Write a poem out of your energy, out of your anger or frustration, right? So we'll have poetry for professionals as well. And yeah, so this is the basic structure of work and well-being lab.